Okay, so one thing that is very important in working in React Native is an understanding of how you work with styling your components. Because after all, styling your entire application is what gives it any sort of personality. So one thing we want to touch on is basically the use of styles. Now, how we do this in React Native is through two things. We have style sheet, which we're importing from React Native, and you can see we're using the stylesheet.create to create a style object for us. And then we have the style equals on the view tag here, where we have styles.container. Now, if you've ever worked with CSS, some of these properties are familiar but different. For instance, instead of background hyphen color, we have background camel case color, and align items and justify content along with flex. So as you see, it's sort of a bizarre world CSS where the answers are all strings, right? We have to wrap them in single quotes unless it's a number. And the properties are all in camel case rather than kebab case or hyphenated case, whatever you want to call it. Now, another thing that's different is that certain properties cannot be assigned to certain things. So let's head into our hello.js and add some styles to our text. So the first thing we wanted to do was import style sheet. So just like we imported view in text, we can import style sheet. Now we can create a new const or constant variable named styles, and styles can be equal to a style sheet dot create. Okay, this is a method that takes an object. Inside of this object, we'll need a property name. So our property name can be hello, this hello text, and inside of here, hello is just simply an object. So first off, let's give this a property to confirm it's working. We can say the color is, and I love these awful basic blue and green and stuff like that. So we can say 00ff00, and now we can give this text a style is equal to, now this is inside of curly brackets, this is going to simply just be the styles constant variable dot hello. So it's grabbing styles dot hello, which will assign a color to the text. Let's head back here to our application, and you can see we have this gnarly, ugly green color, which is one of my favorites. Obviously not to use, but in demos they're great because they stand out. Now let's talk about a text property that would normally work in CSS, such as, well, maybe we want to, instead of to be a color of this ugly green, we can have this be a background color. If we save this, head to our app, you can see it works. And that's awesome, right? Actually, these styles here are going to work just like you would expect. In fact, if we were to add something like font size, which is going to accept a number, we can give this something like 24. See how that looks? And you'll notice when I tap back, I'm getting this bright red ugly screen. Obviously, I forgot a comma here. So this is to give you an idea what kind of error logging you're going to get yelled at here. In addition, I also have my text editor is also telling me I missed that comma. Okay, forgot comma. We should be back. And as you can see, hello from hello.js is nice and big. Okay, let's try this another way. We're gonna cut out this font size from styles in our hello, and let's head to app. Now in app, I'm going to throw on font size 24 to the container. And here, we're getting something kind of interesting. We're getting a yellow warning saying, hey, in view, you gave this a font size. Now in CSS, this works, right? You give font sizes to containers all the time, or at least you are able to. In this, pretty much any of the font properties, such as font family, font size, font style, font weight, line height, text align, that sort of stuff is not going to work on a view. It's only going to work on a text tag like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and just remove that font size from this, get rid of that error, and we can throw it back on to our hello.js. So what kind of properties do we have access to? Well, if you head to facebook.github.io/React Native, we're going to head to the docs here, and all this font size is really small. I can bump this up for you, although you probably just want to pull it up on your own in your own time. Inside of the docs here, you'll want to click Style, and this is going to tell you all about which styles we have access to, and we'll want to click this Values. Now in values, we can see that we have access to colors where we can give name values such as shortened hex values, RGB, RGBA, even 4-character RGBAs, that sort of stuff. We have access to HSL, HSLA. We can even use named colors. Basically, it works very on the par of what you'd expect for CSS. Now, if you want to know exactly which properties are accepted for which things, you'll have to go to that component individually. This gives you a little bit of information here, but if we scroll down, you can see text component reference. This is going to show you the text component, which is the component we're using right now. And if we were to scroll down under props, it shows you all of the props or properties that this component accepts. Now, one of these is in fact the style property, which we have set right here. So by setting the style property, you can see that we have access to any of these text styles, right? Including some Android specific ones where we have include font padding, and then we have some iOS specific ones, right? Each thing is labeled here because both platforms are a little bit different. Now we also have access to the view style components, which we've seen by adding a background color. But let's head back to the style page. What about the view component? Well, the view component has access to basic CSS properties. And if you want to see all of the properties that are available for anything, we just need to head to Layout with Flexbox, go all the way to the bottom, and click where it says here. The full list of props for the control layout is documented here, where we have layout props. And then we also have laying out with Flexbox, right? We can lay out our application using what is essentially Flexbox. Now, this can get really confusing if you don't understand one, Flexbox, or two, don't understand how it works in this sort of different version of Flexbox. It's not super different, but there are some things. So we're going to be covering Flexbox specifically in an entire video of its own. We're going to be doing some various different layouts to try to show you a little bit about how that works, right? Because you want to have a firm understanding. So styles, as you can see, function very much like CSS, camel case, and obviously we have some separate properties for text. And then when we get into layout, you're going to see quite a bit of different stuff when we dive into Flexbox. So start experimenting around, try out some of these properties, and even you can start experimenting with layout. In the next video, we're going to cover layouts in React Native using Flexbox. As always, this is Scott with Level Up Tutorials. If you have any questions or comments, leave a comment on the video or hit me up at Twitter or Facebook at Level Up Tutorials. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you would like to purchase this series, head over to store.leveluptutorials.com. We're going to be teaching you how to build a full, real React Native app. It's going to be a native application. So check it out, store.leveluptutorials.com. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.